Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and then I'll talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, my name is Rick Armendariz, and I'm the Deputy Chief for the Anaheim Police Department. This critical incident community briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred on Tuesday, August 31st, 2021, in the 2400 block of West Greenleaf Avenue. You are about to see relevant video footage and learn of other related evidence so that you have a better understanding of what occurred. An officer-involved shooting is a tragic event for everyone, for our officers, for our community, and for the family members of those involved. These incidents demand the highest level of scrutiny and rightfully are a matter of public concern. The Anaheim Police Department conducts exhaustive investigations following any officer-involved shooting. The investigation related to this incident is still ongoing and could take up to 1 year to complete. With that in mind, we withhold judgment and do not draw any conclusions about whether or not our officers acted within our policies and in accordance with the law until after all the facts are known and the investigations are complete. A word of caution. The images and footage you're about to see may be disturbing. When a police officer uses force to arrest a suspect or defend against an attack, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. In addition, there may be strong language used by those shown in the video. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for young children and sensitive viewers.
I'm Sergeant Jacob Gallagher with the Anaheim Police Department Professional Standards Section. I'm going to provide you with a brief overview of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on August 31st, 2021. On that date, at approximately 11:54 a.m., the Anaheim Police Department Communications Center received a 911 call from a male indicating he had been shot. The caller did not provide his location, and it took the dispatcher several minutes to get additional information from him. Here is a portion of the call made to our communications center.
911 emergency.
I've been shot.
You need paramedics?
I've been shot.
Okay, where at, sir? Where did this happen?
Greenleaf Avenue.
I'm sorry?
Greenleaf Avenue.
Okay, do you have an address there? I need the numerical, sir, to get somebody that can help you.
No.
What address are you at, sir? Hello? Who shot you? Hello? Sir, I need to know where you're at. Sir? Person that shot you still there? I need to know this for the officer's safety. Hello? He left?
Yeah.
Okay, who was it? His name is...
Yeah.
Okay, what's your name? Your name is...
Yeah.
Okay. Is your a brother or a neighbor or... So, someone that did this to you?
Yeah. In the bathroom.
You're in the bathroom or the bedroom?
The bedroom in the back.
The bedroom?
Yeah, in the back.
Okay. I have an officer there that's just waiting for his partner. Where's the gun? Do you know?
I don't know.
What kind of gun was it? Was it a BB gun?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Really good.
A real gun?
Yeah.
Are you bleeding?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Again, I have the officers there. Do you know if it's on foot or in a car?
I don't know.
Hello?
I don't know.
Who is to you?
Neighbor.
He's what?
Neighbor.
Is your neighbor?
Yeah.
Utilizing Anaheim Police Department resources, the APD communications team was able to determine the male was calling from the 2400 block of West Greenleaf Avenue, and officers were immediately dispatched. The following is a portion of the initial police radio broadcast made to responding units.
113, 116.
113. 116, you could say
113, 116 for 927 West Greenleaf. The elderly male stating he was shot. The closest 1020 only.
When officers arrived in the 2400 block of West Greenleaf Avenue, they attempted to determine the caller's exact location and were able to successfully identify the residence the caller was in. Officers walked the perimeter of the home and found a broken window and a sledgehammer, leading them to believe someone had forcibly entered the house. They searched for a way to enter the home, however, they discovered all of the windows and all of the doors were locked. Because the caller indicated he had been shot, and so officers could render medical aid, it was determined an exigency existed and it was necessary to force entry into the home. Officers forced entry through the front door and began searching for the caller when they heard a male groaning through a closed bedroom door. Officers approached the bedroom door and told the person groaning, pictured here, and later identified as Robert Nelson, they intended to enter the bedroom. An officer attempted to open the bedroom door, however it was locked and force was used to open it. Once the door was forced open, officers observed a deceased male on the floor, along with Mr. Nelson, who too was on the floor, covered in blood. Mr. Nelson produced a handgun and an officer-involved shooting occurred. All Anaheim Police Patrol officers are equipped with body-worn cameras. Per Anaheim Police Department policy, all body-worn cameras must be worn in a forward-facing position that facilitates comprehensive recordings of contacts and/or incidents. You are about to view body-worn camera footage from that perspective. It is important to keep in mind that body-worn cameras are an investigative tool, and like any device, they have limitations. Body-worn cameras do not necessarily capture everything an officer sees, just like a body-worn camera may capture something an officer does not see. Further, body-worn cameras do not have the ability to depict what an officer is feeling or experiencing during a given incident. The following footage is from the primary officer's body-worn camera.
Once you hit it, let's let it breathe for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop and back off once it's open.
And stand for. Ready? Check to make sure it's unlocked.
Yep. It's locked. Set. Back. Just leave it for now, just leave it for now. Let it breathe.
Alright. Back up.
What's his name again, Doc? What's his name?
Whenever you guys are ready. Call me. Here. It's the police department. Anaheim PD, if you're inside, make yourself known.
Let's go.
Someone cover on my right.
You got the right? Hold that shield to the left. I'm just
You
gonna
say he's in the
turn.
backyard.
Watch the right. So let's go into this kitchen right here.
He said he's in the backyard, yeah.
Let's get one holding this side. I'm gonna clear the kitchen really quick. He's now in the back there. Block that table for me. I'm just gonna clear this really quick.
Where you at? Yeah. Cover. Clear.
How big?
Alright, we're opening the door, okay? It's the police department. Wait till he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, you good?
It's locked. Oh, he's got a gunshot. Oh, fuck! Gun! Stay down. Do not move.
Don't move. Don't move.
Listen, we want to help you. Don't move, okay? Don't move. Stay down.
Stay down.
Hey, let's pull back, Sarge.
Yeah, pull back. Pull back. Pull back. Okay. Come this way. Go. I got you covered. Everybody back out.
Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his left hand pointed at me.
Yeah, back up.
Hey, buddy, what's your name?
Back it up. We're gonna back it all up. Negative. He's down for now. Back it up all the way.
All the way?
Back it up.
We have another victim down there. We have two victims down there. We have the guy that I shot that pointed a gun at me. We have another male with a gunshot wound to the head.
The guy was waiting to ambush. Okay. Hey, good call on that.
Okay.
Immediately after the shooting, officers tactically retreated to a position of safety and requested additional resources to respond, including members of the Tactical Response Group, which includes members of the SWAT team and a drone pilot. A drone was deployed inside the residence, and it was determined that Mr. Nelson was deceased. Anaheim Police Department homicide detectives responded to the scene and initiated an investigation to determine how the male observed deceased on the floor was killed. The investigation revealed Mr. Nelson shot the male, shot himself, and then called 911 reporting he had been shot. The following are evidentiary photographs of the gun Mr. Nelson used in connection with this incident. A post-mortem examination, an autopsy, was conducted on Mr. Nelson. The examination determined that Mr. Nelson passed away from 3 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the chest, and any injuries Mr. Nelson sustained as a result of the officer-involved shooting were non-life-threatening.
In the city of Anaheim, when a critical incident such as an officer-involved shooting occurs, several investigations are then initiated. The Orange County District Attorney's Office conducts an investigation to determine whether the involved officer's actions were within the law. The Anaheim Police Department's homicide detail investigates criminal conduct of any potential suspects prior to or during the incident. Finally, our Internal Affairs and Major Incident Review team examines any areas where improvements can be made and determines whether the actions of the involved officers were within policy and consistent with our training. If you would like more information on the Anaheim Police Department's use of force policy, please visit www.anaheim.net/police. Thank you for taking the time to view this critical incident community briefing.
let's get into it.
Broken window and a sledgehammer.
No idea what the interior or layout of the house is in relation to this window. So when we see them make entry into the house later on, I don't know in relation to where they're standing inside the house where this window is at. I wish they would have provided a map of the house. I think that would allow viewers to have a better idea of the circumstances. And then the details of what's going on here, they're not exactly clear. So they mention that the two are neighbors, but they don't really go into detail about, whose house they're actually in or anything like that. The sledgehammer thing is kind of interesting. So the deceased person that was obviously deceased first could have been the person that lived here, and the other person that had the gun in their hand had tried to break in to go in and steal something, and then was confronted by the person who lives there. That's what I think is potentially going on, but there's just not a whole lot of information there to really back up that thought. So it took them a while to figure out where this place was located at. They had to basically get in the area and then go search around the houses and figure out that this was the house that they needed to be at.
All right. What's his name again, Doc? What's his name?
So right off the bat, a lack of rifles. So they are all responding to a call that is involving a gun. Someone has been shot. Personally, I think that they should all have rifles, with the exception of the guy with the shield, because it's somewhat difficult to run a rifle with the shield. But everyone else in that group, I think, should have rifles. And talked about this before in other videos. That is a common occurrence all across the nation. Is you see officers go to gun calls and they neglect to get a rifle, and I think that's a problem. I want to see a huge shift in how officers respond to gun calls. I want to see the deployment of rifles become more common. Rifles are fight stoppers. The only reason we carry pistols is because pistols are more convenient to carry and more comfortable. You can very easily carry a pistol on your side all day, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, whatever. Carry it all day and not think much of it. It's not that cumbersome. Riding in the car, it may hit up against the console or something like that. Walking through doors, you may hit a door frame or something with your gun. But I mean, other than that, it's not intrusive or anything like that. Whereas a rifle, trying to carry a rifle for 8, 10, 12 hours out of the day, that is not comfortable at all. It is not convenient to carry a rifle all day. The muzzle, depending on how you got it, attached to you, the muzzle, when you turn around, can hit stuff, knock things off tables, definitely hit door frames, be walking, the muzzle always be banging into your legs or something like that. It gets in the way. And so that's why we don't see people carry rifles all the time. And it's not like there are shootings going on with the police all the time. The majority of law enforcement and the majority of security can go their entire career without ever having to shoot someone. So that is one of the other reasons why pistols are always carried. If it was the other way around, if you're, let's say, take your town, like think about the last time your town had an officer involved shooting. It's probably been years for a lot of places. So it would make better sense for people to carry a handgun all the time versus a rifle. Now, if it was in your town, the police were being shot at and had to defend themselves on a weekly basis, I think you would see that paradigm shift and people carrying rifles a lot more often. But the fact that they're comfortable and convenient, and the fact that there's just not that many police shootings going on all the time, that's why we see pistols brought out in instances where we should see a rifle. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles.
Whenever you guys are ready. Call me. Here. It's the police department. Call me.
What's his name?
So this guy's got gloves on, and the guy with the camera has gloves on. These two guys right here do not.
Alright.
What's his name again, though?
I like how they are prepared to be able to go in and then deal with someone that has blood on them. That way they don't have to stand there, dig into a pocket, open a pouch, pull out gloves, try to put them on under stress, and then potentially rip them while trying to put them on, and then not have another pair to be able to put on. So I always think it's a good idea to glove up before going in anywhere.
What's his name?
Whenever you guys are ready. Call me. Here. It's the police department. And on TV, if you're inside, make yourself known.
Let's go.
Someone's cover on my right.
You got the right? Hold that shield to the left. I'm just
You
going
say
to
he's in the
turn.
backyard.
Watch the right. So let's go into this kitchen right here.
He said he's in the backyard, yeah.
Let's get one holding this side. I'm going to clear the kitchen really quick. He's not in the backyard. Block that table for me.
You hear us?
I'm just going to clear this really quick.
Where you at?
The officer with the shield, I noticed, is not leading down the hallway. So at this point, it almost seems like a moot point or a useless point to even have this shield. If the purpose of the shield is to protect everyone, to keep bullets from going into them, then that shield should be to the front. So shields are good. I think they do have a place, but there's many times where I see videos where the shields, they're just not being used correctly, or you'll have like 10 people stacked up, and they're not even stacked up. They're kind of more like a wing formation, and then there's one guy with a shield right in the middle, but on each side of him, probably 3 people to left and right are exposed. So I think shields do have a place that can be utilized effectively, but I think a lot of times they're just not utilized the way that they should be utilized. And this right here is an example. You got the shield behind another person, and it's not being effectively used right now.
Clear. Alright, we're opening the door, okay? It's the police department. Wait till he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, you good? It's locked.
Oh, he's got a gun for me. Oh, fuck, gun, gun, gun! Stay down, do not move.
Don't move, don't move.
Listen, we want to help you, don't move, okay? Don't move, stay down.
So it mentioned that the guy ended up dying from his own 3 self-inflicted gunshot wounds, and that the rounds that the officer fired, of the rounds that he fired, the ones that hit him were non-life threatening. It doesn't specify where they hit, but it just says they were non-life threatening, that he ended up dying from his own self-inflicted gunshot wounds. That was interesting to me. Looking at this guy's gun, we can see that he has a red dot sight, and red dot sights are an emerging trend within law enforcement. We're starting to see more and more officers use red dot sights. And his magazine well is it's a mag funnel.
Hey, let's pull back, Sarge.
Yep, pull back. Pull back. Okay. Come this way. Go. I got you covered. Everybody back out.
Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his...
So it's a very quote-unquote
Pull back. Stay down.
tactical pistol. And he fired, I think, 5 to 6 rounds, and of those that he fired, of him hitting that guy, they're non-life threatening hits. So that brings in the question of marksmanship and accuracy. I don't know this dude's background. I don't know what kind of training he's had. I'm not even sure if this is a department-issued gun or if this is a self-bought gun and he can add all the stuff to it. I don't know. I don't know those details. But the conversation of marksmanship needs to come into play. Red dot sights can help a person make more accurate hits. It's a lot easier just to put that red dot on the target and put rounds on target versus try to line up the iron sights. In law enforcement, it's different all across the nation, but in law enforcement, the firearms training that people get is when they go to the academy, they get an initial block of instruction on firearms that can last varying times. It's different from state to state, but they could spend a couple weeks on firearms training, and that would be all pistol, rifle, and shotgun kind of stuff. Or at least a good solid week on it. And then some places will do that. And then we'll also hold training where they use marking cartridges. I'm not really sure what Anaheim does or where their officers go as far as an academy or anything like that. But at some point, when he started, he should have had at least a decent block of firearms instruction. From that point, what most places do across the nation is, at bare minimum, they hold a qualification course once a year. And a qualification course is you just stand and kneel at various distances on the flat range, starting from 5 yards going back up to possibly 25 yards. And at each increment from 5 going back to 10, going back to 15, X amount of rounds have to be fired one-handed dominant, one-handed non-dominant, and then there has to be a reload in there at a minimum of one time, etc. And then that's it. So you could have a person that get hired, they go through the academy, get good firearms training. At the end of the year, they do their qualification. The next year, they do qualification. They may do some in-service training once a year where they get some kind of remedial instruction on basically what they learned in the academy, but not as long of a block. It's not going to be like a whole week's worth of training. It'll be condensed down into an afternoon or something like that for the training purposes. So you could theoretically have a person who gets hired and then 10 years later, they haven't had a whole lot of training under their belt. It's just little qualification kind of events. And firearms training, marksmanship, it's a perishable skill. If you don't shoot enough frequently, then your skills can go down. COVID hit. I didn't get out and shoot a whole lot, and took a class, and I could tell that COVID had an effect on me. Not being able to get out and go get the ammo. That was the other thing too with COVID was just the ammo. People were just buying it up like crazy, and so I wasn't able to get out as much as I wanted to, and I could tell that had a significant effect on me. And it is a perishable skill, so you need to get out and shoot. Now, the issue with that within law enforcement is there's lots of cops who are not gun people. There are lots of cops who the only reason they have a gun is because their employer gave it to them, and it's kind of a condition of their employment that they carry the gun. If it weren't for the employer giving it to them and requiring that they carry it, there's probably some who wouldn't even carry it. Now, I don't think that's the case with this guy. I think that he has had some decent training in the beginning. But to what degree he has on from follow-up, I don't know. We look at the other officers' guns. That's probably going to be difficult to even see until what they've got. The one up front, he had a...
All right, open the door, okay? It's the police department.
This guy has a red dot sight.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's locked.
Don't move, don't move.
Listen, we want to help you. Don't move. Stay down.
Stay down.
Hey.
Go, I got you covered.
This guy does not appear to have a red dot sight. Just has a weapon-mounted light.
Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his left hand pointed at me. Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his left hand pointed at me. Shield up. He had...
I got you covered. Everybody back out.
Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his left hand pointed at me.
Back up.
We have another victim down there.
Back up, all the way.
All the way?
Back up.
We have another victim. Down there. We have two victims down there. We have the guy that I shot that pointed a gun at me. We have another male with a gunshot wound to the head. Okay.
Yeah, so it's difficult to see what everyone else has. I'm not really sure what their policies are as far as red dot sights. It could be it's optional for people, or it could be that they could pay to have their own. I'd say it's probably optional. I'd say that the department's probably offering them. It's just up to them if they want to have it or not. It's kind of hard to really say without any documents in front to see, what exactly their training is or whatever. But I will say that just because there is the presence of a red dot sight and the mag funnel on there, and even what appears to be an extended base plate or something on the gun, just because it's more tactical looking doesn't necessarily mean that person using it is going to be any better. Hardware doesn't make a person better. Software makes a person better.
Don't move. Stay down.
Stay down.
Hey, let's pull back, Sarge.
Yeah, pull back.
Don't move. Stay down.
Stay down.
Hey, let's pull back, Sarge.
So he's right there. I would say this officer up here could probably have a better view of him since he's right here at this door frame. Um, why they didn't go forward, I don't know. I think they could have went forward. They had the shield. They could have had the guy with the shield go up. If they needed to, deploy taser on the guy if he didn't do what they needed him to do. Even spray some OC into the room at the guy. Um, I don't know. I don't really fully see and understand why they decided to pull completely out. They had visual on the guy. He's been shot more than what he's already been. They had the shield. I think they could have went forward and did stuff, but they chose not to, and they move out.
Yep, pull back, pull back. Hold on, pull back. Okay. Come this way. Go, I got you covered.
Radios in hands in the fight.
Everybody back out.
And he's got a radio in his hand too. This is something I've talked about before in other videos with like LAPD and NYPD. So those two, I've noticed they have like this mindset of never use lapel mics on handheld radios. And I personally think that lapel mics are a piece of life safety equipment. So let's say this suspect decides to start fighting. Well, this officer has a one-handed grip on his gun. And as we all know, a one-handed grip is not the best kind of grip to have on your gun because his other hand is on his radio. So now he's going to have to either A, put the radio in his pouch, or B, he's going to have to drop the radio. It would be quicker to drop the radio and then go to a two-handed grip versus put it in the pouch, but both are going to take some amount of time. He's going to have to jettison that object out of his hand, go get a two-handed grip, and then start fighting. It would be better if he was able to start from a two-handed grip and be able to respond to the threat. Lapel mics, I think, are a very necessary piece of equipment in this line of work. Some people, they just flat out refuse to use them, and I don't know why. I could imagine that because you know at some point there was a struggle when you using a lapel mic and the lapel mic came off. Yes, I get it. That can happen. Um, Lapel mics can easily fall off, but there is a company called Mic Loop that produces a product that remedies that problem. And even if you don't want to buy that product, there is paracord that you can buy anywhere to make the same kind of product that Mic Loop makes. You make it your own. So there's really no reason why you can even use the excuse anymore of the lapel mic falls off when you can very easily fix the issue of it falling off.
Let's get a shield up. He had a gun in his left hand pointed at me. Hey, buddy, what's your name?
Back it up. We're going to back it all up. Negative. Down for now. Back it up all the way.
All the way?
Back it up.
We have another victim down there. We have two victims down there. We have the guy that I shot that pointed a gun at me. We have another male with a gunshot wound to the head.
The guy was waiting to ambush. Okay.
So he goes to take up a cover position here at this corner in case this guy starts to come out. I like that. That's good. What I would like to have seen in addition to this is him go ahead and do a magazine change. He expended some rounds, about 5 to 6 rounds, so he needs to go ahead and put a fresh mag in that gun. That way if they have to fight some more, he's starting off this second fight with a fresh magazine.
Okay.
So what's interesting to me is these two guys, once this door pops open, they're able to see into the room. And then the officer with the camera turns around, messes with the door, and then is the first to see the guy laying right there on the ground with the gun. He's not that deep into the room. I mean, here's the door frame right here. I would have suspected that those two guys standing out in the hallway, as close to that door as they were, would have been able to see this guy with the gun. But it could have been a mere simple few inches of them being far enough aback to where the door frame closest to them was obstructing their view and not allowing them to see that guy.
Immediately after the shooting, officers tactically retreated to a tactical drone was deployed inside the residence.
So I think this is pretty cool, sending a drone in
And
to
it was
go
determined
search through the
Mr.
house. Like, this makes me think of Titanic, where they send the little remote submersible to go search through the ship. That's pretty unique. I don't think I recall seeing anything like this before. It's usually you always see the little robot being sent through the house to do some searching, but this is a pretty cool use for a drone to be able to go fly through the house and take a look at stuff.
Nelson was deceased.
And it looks like potentially the guy had moved around after being shot, because he's not immediately right in here. We see what looks like blood on the ground from where he was, but as far as him actually being right where he had been, it doesn't appear as though he is.
A drone was deployed inside the residence, and it was determined Mr. Nelson was deceased. Anaheim Police Department homicide detectives responded to the floor was killed, and then called 911, reporting on Mr. Nelson.
Apparently, he had 3 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to his chest area with this .22 pistol.
A post-mortem examination, an autopsy, was conducted on Mr. Nelson. The examination determined that Mr. Nelson passed away from 3 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the chest, and any injuries Mr. Nelson sustained as a result of the officer-involved shooting were non-life-threatening.
In the city of
That's about it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.